I want to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you my story. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just felt like I'm going to do it. And so I'm going to show you what it was like growing up as an economic ninja. I'm going to tell you some things about my story you may not know. And I believe that this is going to really encourage some people. I'm going to sit on the rock right in front. You're probably not going to see me. Here I am right here. Hey, I'm going to turn the camera around because I think it's really valuable that people understand what other people went through to get where they were. Oh gosh. And so we're going to start when I was dating my wife. I had to borrow $800 from her. I don't even know if I'm in the camera frame. I borrowed $800 from my wife to move out of my parents' house at the age of 21. That's hard to say. My wife was very good with money, meaning that she had a savings account. She had a car loan that she was paying off. She paid it off pretty fast. And she was very conscious of her spending. She'd spent months in Europe twice, saved up, and went. She was very independent. I had never been out of the country except for to Mexico on a cruise once with my family when I was in the 6th grade. So I had nothing. Remember when we got married, my wife came home one day and I was working as a waiter, and I wouldn't work until 4 p.m. and I worked at a steakhouse, a famous steakhouse called McClintock's in California. And I made good money. And she would get so frustrated because I was at home building model airplanes on my couch and there'd be wood chips everywhere. She gets so upset. She goes, did you move at all? I was at the time a reserve firefighter also. So if there was an emergency, I'd go on the emergency, I'd come home, get paid for that. And then I would work on my model airplanes. And I said, and she goes, you gotta, do a, what are, she thought this was it. She'd married a loser. and I would always tell her, I said, but I make more money than you. And, that would piss her off. But that's how I thought. I'm like, well, as long as I'm making more money and I'm happy and I have spare time to do what I want to do, then life is good. We definitely saw differently on that one. Little did she know who she married, because I used to tell her stories of selling candy in school or having a baseball card shop when I was in high school downtown where I lived. She didn't see that kind of stuff. I started a new side hustle, and side hustle after side hustle picked up until ultimately, it was time to buy a home. And you all know the story of when I was selling electric trains on eBay to save up $20,000 to go buy our first home. And it was always me trying to lead her, really drag her along with me. And I'm sure there are a lot of you that have spouses that don't see eye to eye. That's the job of a spouse. I don't know if you know that. That's the truth. They're the opposite. That's what attracted you to them in the first place. So the problem is when you get married, they're still opposite, and then it's driving you nuts. And we focus on that, right? Well, I was always the go-getter. We could do anything kind of thing, because I grew up with a mother that told me I could do anything, and I believed it. Praise God. And you need to believe it too. And if you don't believe it, you need to start saying it over and over. And I know it sounds crazy. It's like lying to yourself, but you're lying in a good way. You're saying, I can do anything. I can do anything I set my mind to. If I love something, if I want it bad enough, I'm going to go get it. It's just a fact. It's a fact of life. And so we started seeing success. And I've always been the kind of person that when I see success, I want other people around me to be successful. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Because I always thought of myself as subpar. And even though I felt I could do anything, I grew up in a home where I was told that if I didn't have a college degree, I wouldn't amount to anything. I was nothing more than a blue-collared worker. That's how my father, was raised, and that's how he raised me. So I was constantly battling between life of my mother saying, I could do anything, I'm so proud of you. And then my father saying, if you don't have that degree, if you don't go get that good job and secure a solid future. And he was only doing it because that's how he was taught, right? That was the society he grew up in. I was battling between two worlds. And so we started seeing success really quickly with real estate. It was phenomenal. Honestly, I went from having nothing to 3 years later having a net worth on paper of a little over $1 million. And that was a lot back in, what was that, 2003. And all I wanted was my friends. And part of it was to like, look, see, I'm making it, I'm successful. Like you not puff up my chest in a cocky way, but I made it. But also to see them be successful, because there's nothing better than hanging around with successful people. And at the time, I didn't know anybody that was a real estate entrepreneur. I didn't know anybody flipping homes or holding homes for cash flow. And at that point, I was a full-time firefighter. I tried talking all the guys back over at that fire station into being successful. Nobody wanted to hear it. But the reason why nobody wanted to hear it was because I always drove an old car. I always wore discount sneakers from Big Five. We never had the life where we bragged about or talked about trips we went on, right? My wife and I didn't become millionaires by spending money. We became millionaires by working our butts off and saving money. And part of saving money is shopping at the discount bins at Ross, buying of the clearance stuff, buying the bare necessities, right? We became wealthy in that cycle by being extremely frugal. And honestly, that led to even more frugality, for lack of better terms. And we started making even more money. But yet I still wanted others around me to be successful. My best friend, if he was here, he'd tell you, his name's Charlie. He came to me one day after we had started that trailer side hustle, and we were finding amazing success. We were making, to each 6 figures a year on a side hustle that was leading to more time with our kids, having more fun on the road. I mean, just amazing times, making money. And he asked me once, he goes, is this what it was like at the point when he asked me, he said, is this what it was like when you were flipping tractors? And I looked at him and with seriousness in my eyes, I said, it was bigger. And he goes, wow, I never knew. Because I would always try and encourage people, you should do this, you should do that. I would never tell them, well, it's because I'm making X, I was just finding success and I just wanted to bring people along with me. Well, when me and Charlie, and I'm sort of jumping around a lot, but when we were finding massive success flipping park model trailers and mobile homes and car trailers and stuff, my cousins came to me once and they're like, why are you telling everybody that they should do this? You need to keep it quiet or you'll have all this competition. And both of us felt the exact same way. We said, well, the only reason why we're successful is because we are trying to encourage people to be successful. It's a give and take. It's a yin and yang. It's like tithing, but like an instruction, teaching. And I found that to be true my entire life. The more I encouraged people to be successful, the more success I found. The more deals I found. It came back tenfold. Well, when we started the YouTube channel, I told my wife, and it wasn't a nice conversation, I'll tell you that. And someday we'll have to have my wife there because, obviously my side of the story is not hers, so we could tell the story together. But when we started the channel, I said, I'm setting out to be number one in a couple different fields. And I said, but I'm going to tell them the total truth. And that means everyone that we know and we grew up with are going to find out the truth about us, what we did financially in the past. And they're not going to like us. They're not going to like the truth. Because my whole life, I ended up hanging out with people that had low self-esteem and they enjoyed being around people that didn't accomplish as much than them. My best friend growing up, at a certain point when I found success in the early 2000s, just stopped talking to me. Then my next best friend, same thing. It wasn't until me and Charlie became good friends that I finally found a friend that actually encouraged me and was super happy for me when I found success. And in turn, he found success because he listened and did some things with me, and it led to some great things with us together, right? Well, we lost a lot of friends. Well, I lost 90% of our friends in 2005 and 6 when I was warning everybody that the economy was collapsing and to sell your houses. And they had no idea how many homes we had. We never told them. They knew that we fixed and flipped homes on the side. They thought it was a hobby. They didn't know it was a mini enterprise. And I watched most of those people get divorces. We watched families ripped apart. My kids grew up, me showing them, this family will fall apart and get a divorce because of this. My kids have watched me show them certain people's actions leads to certain people's demise, right? Either financially or relationship-wise. That's how I taught them. I say, I promise if you'll pay attention to this aspect of life, you'll see how it turns out, and then you'll know never to do it. I showed them through example, right? That's the best way we can all learn, is by doing, by seeing and then doing, replicating, right? Very few of us can read something like an instruction manual and make sense of it. But when we see someone do it, we go, oh, we could do it. Because what happens is it triggers something inside of us that goes, if that person can do it, I can do it. Because we all esteem ourselves. We all put ourselves on a pedestal at a certain point. We also beat each other senseless mentally ourselves, right? I'm the kind of guy that goes to bed and goes, why did I say that? Oh my gosh, you're an idiot, and I got to try and control that stuff. Just say, no, don't do that again, right? Well, when we started the channel, it was hard because a lot of truths had to come out. And I'm going to be honest with you, just even as of a couple months ago, sitting with good friends that I've been friends with for like 25 years, having to reveal truths about ourselves that they're just like, we had no idea, like, yeah. So that's why when I would say this or that, we were doing this or that, and they didn't know. I used to walk around totally paranoid because of sometimes the success that my wife and I had, and we didn't want people to know. And then I realized when we started the YouTube channels, that's how people are going to learn. They're going to learn from the truth. They're going to learn from our story. They're going to see me doing something or talking about it. They're going to see it happen in society or in the world, and they're going to go do it, and they're going to find success. And I don't know why I'm even talking to you about this, because, but you need to hear my story, and in turn, you need to go tell your story, because that's the only way we learn as a civilization. You think about like the Native Americans, or there are races of people that have a really good ability to share the stories of those that came before them and to learn from those mistakes and the successes. And we've lost that ability. I'm not a good storyteller. All I can tell is my story, right? That's what history is, his story. My life has changed so much in the last 4 years, I can't even describe it. Do you know how awesome and scary at times, my kids can share stories, to be recognized and to be thanked? I want that for every single one of you. My wife told me multiple times, stop trying to tell everyone they need to start a YouTube channel. I mean, how many of you have seen me do that, right? Type 1 below. It's because I found success, and I want you all to feel the exact same feeling I feel. When you want good things for other people, good things come your way. There are people in this world that just, they hide things because they want all the power. And that makes them powerless. I saw that with my fire chiefs. All they wanted to hold the knowledge. The knowledge is mine. I am the knowledge. No, idiot. You promoted. You applied for something, and some dude or lady gave you a promotion. Go empower all the men and women underneath you and watch how great you become. People don't do that. That's why there's not a lot of leaders these days. My job when I went to an emergency was to empower everyone around me. Everyone had the ability to be successful, and my job was to make sure they had the tools to do it. And that's what makes a leader, right? You lead by example, do your best, but you empower those around you to do even better than you. And then you become great. That's really all it is. It's the easiest thing ever. But it's human nature not to do that. And so my goal, starting this, was to show everyone my success, show them my failures, and then we move from there. And the greater you become, the better my life's going to be. I'm going to be honest, I feel totally stupid even talking to you right now. And I hope you hear that, and it encourages you to go do something great. Many of you have spouses right now that are not lined up with your desires. And trust me, I know more than anyone how hard that is and how much it hurts sometimes. Or you have a spouse that doesn't believe in you. You know how you're going to win? Small wins. Small wins. Step back from the big goal that you have. Do small things and win and win and win. And I had to go to my wife once. I said, when was the last time I lost? And she would say, it was about 10 years ago. And I said, so you're still harping on 10 years, and I've got 10 years ago, and I've got 10 years full of wins, and everything we've done is won. So why don't you just let me keep winning? At a certain point, she had to step aside. And then we won, and we won, and we won. And that was the way that, and she'll be able to tell you differently, I'm sure. But I'm not exaggerating. She, that's the thing. We dwell on the past, and we dwell on the big thing that we want to do. We just need small wins. And you build those up, and then if there's people in your life, and I'm not talking about your spouse, but if you got friends and family that after you just keep winning, keep talking crap about you, you need to just walk away from them. Separate yourself. You don't need to disown them. Just don't talk to them. Go win. Man, the hardest thing ever is to just tell your story. You know how hard it is to just hit record and talk? I know it sounds funny. A lot of people are like, oh, you make it easy. No, it's the hardest thing ever. Do me a favor. If you got anything from this rambling, let me know. Or tell your story down below so I can read your story and I can get inspired by it. Because this is a give and take thing. Honestly. I hope you got something out of this. Honestly, don't know if you did or not. The Economic Ninja is out.